But this year I specifically had them write down like what you expect me to do, and then I'll say yes or no, and then hopefully they respect my boundary. I think that's the most important part for me, to not have like a mental breakdown, is like just not being a people pleaser.
Pole dancers, start your engines. It's time for another episode of the Pole Position Podcast with your host, Beastie.
Okay, so we are here with Sherman at Songbird Dance. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast and for taking the time out of your insane schedule to do this. It really means a lot.
Thank you.
We met back, I think, at through PSO.
PSO, for sure.
Yeah, Golden Gate, and it was NorCal Pole Presentational, when it was still virtual. Well, okay, we didn't meet there, but that's where I first saw you, and I was like, you did this flying pole piece, and I think that your intro or somebody mentioned like, oh, he's only been doing pole for like a year or two at that point, and I was just like, oh, and you're just like throwing yourself around, like floating up into these crazy moves on an aerial pole. Like it blew my mind.
It was definitely a fun project to work on. My first filming project to work on, and first time doing a flying pole routine. So it was definitely a fun thing to do.
Yeah. That was ambitious, and you nailed it. And I was like, well, I need to get to know this guy.
Well, I'm happy at least that was I remember the first thing I saw you was the credit card at PSO. So whenever I see you, I just remember the credit card swiping. So I was like, oh.
For reference.
I'm not sure if that's the reference you want me to have of you.
Yeah, swiping a credit card between my butt cheeks.
And then you just flew and landed between like your knee and there's a guy in the middle. And I was like, there's a lot of trust.
Yes.
Yes.
I started practicing that trick with my husband at first at home, and then my human prop, my good friend Courtney, I was like, all right, are you ready for this? This is what we're gonna do. She was like, all right.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, literally nothing went wrong. Everybody was good. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got squished. It was fine.
It's good.
Okay, well, I would love it if you could tell me a little bit about your Muggle job, because you are in like a lab coat and you just seem like you have so much going on in your brain.
Yeah, of course. So my Muggle daytime job is I'm a scientist, and I tend to joke around a lot. I sign and tisk a lot. But I'm a scientist. I work in pharmaceutical research and development. I'm also currently a part-time master's student. I'll be finishing up my master later this quarter, so soon.
Wow.
I'm actually writing my master's thesis. It's due tomorrow.
Oh my God.
It's due tomorrow. I finished it, so that's not.
Oh, it's done.
It's done.
Okay,
it's done.
Why would you schedule this interview today?
It's done. And I've been a scientist for over 5 years.
Wow.
I started in like 2019. Is when I finally decided I'll do science for a living. So, yeah.
So, okay, wait. So where are you getting your master's through?
So it's through a virtual program through University of Washington. Mm-hmm. So it's a master's in pharmaceutical bioengineering.
Wow.
Drugs.
Yeah,
drugs.
That's so cool. Where did you go to college to get to your Muggle job?
Oh, yeah, of course. So actually my bachelor's is totally not related to pharmaceutical or biochemistry. It's a bachelor in science with emphasis in evolutionary and ecology. So more like environmental science. But I'm originally from Sacramento, so when I moved there, I'm just desperate for a job, and I somehow got myself into a lab, don't know what I'm doing, and you do like research for cancer, like looking for cures for cancer. And that's when I was like, what is pharmaceuticals? And then over time, I moved to Bay in South San Francisco, which is like a biotech hub. And from there, I learned I really do love working on interventions and finding new treatments for patients in need. And so I decided to pursue a master's in something that's relevant to my field.
So what is your work day like? Are you in the office 5 days a week? How much of your time does that consume?
It depends. So it's more hybrid. It used to be more remote, but because as COVID is ending, it's hybrid. It really depends on what my experiment needs, right? So if my cells need someone to feed it some media, then I got to go in. Sometimes I have to come in on a weekend just to make sure the cells are okay. But currently we're hybrid.
So what's your big project that you're working on right now at work?
Gotta think about what I can say, what I cannot say.
Ooh.
Oh, I know. So I was very fortunate. When I joined this company, I switched from oncology to more inflammation diseases. So things like ulcerative colitis or IBD. So when you work in pharmaceutical, it takes years to get a product from like discovering something, right? And then screening all these different compounds and then pushing it into preclinical and into clinical, which is when we try it in humans and then market. That takes a good 10 years or if not more. I got lucky. I was assigned a project and it's actually gonna go into the next phase very soon. So I'm very excited. And that's like my most happy and like project I've been working on. But
that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I guess going to work and just knowing that what I'm doing can eventually change a patient's life, right? Because there's so many diseases and like, things out there, and a lot of patients need treatment options. So, yeah.
That's cool that that's your motivation.
Yes.
I love that.
Thanks. And then I think after my master's, I do want to switch over to less research and development. I want to do more like for regulatory affairs. So then I'll be kind of like the person communicating between my company and then to the FDA. So then it's more remote, and from there I can actually see from beginning to end of the whole thing instead of just working in like preclinical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do you think that'll take you to get to like that next goal after your master's?
It really depends. I heard that getting your foot in the door for regulatory is very hard, but I'm very fortunate that my company really supports career growth. And so I'm planning on applying for like a rotational program. And if I get accepted, I leave my current functional area and then get placed hopefully in regulatory affairs for 1 year, and then I go back to my own functional area. And by then I'll have some kind of experience. I can choose to stay at this company or go to like a smaller company. So that's in the air right now.
Is there more education that you're gonna have to, like more degrees, more like just keeping up on specific education things to continue in the field? Like, 'cause just technology and science changes so quickly.
Great question. So yes, the reason why I'm kind of want to step away from R&D is because if you really want to make money and climb the ladder, you need a PhD. I don't plan on getting a PhD. I'm 30. I don't want to. I'm gonna be 40 when I'm done. So I don't plan on getting a PhD. However, with regulatory affairs or like project management, having a PhD does definitely help, but that's not like the make it or break it, especially with big pharma companies. They really want you to have like credential and PhD, higher education. Or regulatory, you don't really need a PhD, and you just need to take like certifications. There's certain societies for regulatory affairs, and so you join the society, you take their like certificate, you study and you take the exam, and then they'll be like, you're certified and you know all the regulations for like certain drugs, because drugs has different categories. And so for example, there's small molecules. Those are typically what you take. Any oral drug is a small molecule, and there's biologics or large molecule. Biologics are most likely like vaccines or anything that's injection, right? So usually you choose one route and then you get certified in that, and that's it. And you can keep climbing, and the ceiling is not as, you're not restricted in regulatory compared to R&D.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's a lot to consume right now.
Yeah, all these like science terminology, yeah. I'm a nerd at heart, so.
But that's, I think, what makes you so fascinating and why I really wanted to talk to you too. Because I just remember one time I saw on your Instagram, like there was an intercompany video and you like shared it on your story or something. And you're like, oh, that's what they did with that video. And I was like,
funny stuff.
What? It just looked like you had like the goggles, like the whole thing, and I'm like,
I look so bad in that video. You know why? Because I was minding my own business in lab, and we work in a lab. No one looks at you, right? I'm an introvert. I just go in there and just looking like whatever, right? Making sure I wear my PPE, and I guess they're trying to film some advertisement. And so what happened is my coworker, she literally went around the lab and was like, oh, there's Sherman. He has red hair, because at that time my hair is maroon. Go film him, some diversity. And I was like, what? I was like, I look like shit right now. I didn't even I was not expected to be filmed. And she was like, neither do I. I have no hair and no makeup, done. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And then she's like, no, you're doing it. And she just like left the crew with me. And then the crew was like, filming. And that was like, was it 2022? So we still have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, do you want mask on and off? Preferably off. And I was like, oh man. And that's how,
Yeah.
I thought they deleted the video. I was expecting to never see it, but then a year later I saw it and I was like,
As the head videographer at my company, I am on the other side of like, no, you're doing it. Like, you're going to be on camera. Like, we're going to make you look good. Like, everything's going to be fine. Like,
yeah, see, hence I set my hair today. See, she let me know, so I set my hair. But that time I was just in, my mindset was get in, get out in the lab.
Yeah.
So that's the video.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your pole origin story. How did you start dancing?
Yeah, of course. So I have a background in hip hop, popping and locking, so a lot of flex foot things and grounded. I started pole kind of in 2020. It was a pandemic hobby because during the height of pandemic, nothing is open. And I used to do a lot of calisthenics. I started silks for about 6 months. And then I discovered a studio that had like 6 stage poles in the back outdoors, so that bypassed the city mandate. So
I was like, wait, how did you start? During the pandemic?
It's a smart business move. So they had like a back patio. They set up stage pole. It was hot. It was in Oakland, so it was hot. So I started there, and then in 2022, I discovered flying pole and also Chinese pole because I really love pole by that point. I noticed that there's different forms of pole art. So then I started experimenting with those kind of pole. And then in 2023, I started teaching because people said we need people to do crazy tricksters, and my style is kind of unique among all the other Bay Area polers. So then some of the studios asked me to get certified, and I started teaching. And then here I am, I started competing, and then I started performing in shows. Yeah.
So speaking of performing, you just finished the Vertical show.
Yes.
And you're like right at the tail end of your master's.
Yes.
And you're doing all this stuff with work.
Yes.
So how did the Vertical show go for you?
The Vertical show went really well. So it's my second time doing Vertical show. Last year they did it for 1 weekend, 5 shows. For this year, I messaged the producer, Pink Puma, asking, hey, is it going to be similar to last year? And she said she is. So then I was able to do it because it's very similar with some minor changes. And how I kind of balance that is that I'm a morning person, and all my lab mates prefer that I'm a morning person. So I tend to start my workday at 7 or 7:30. I love, 'cause I like, So typically I'll finish around 2 or 3 p.m. Sometimes stay later, there's a meeting. And then I'll do my groceries, right? But on the days where I have vertical rehearsal, I'll head straight to the theater, start rehearsing, and there's different acts. When I'm not needed on stage, I'll be on the laptop in the corner and just working my homework or answering emails or whatnot. That's how I manage vertical.
And this year it was 3 weekends, correct?
Correct. This is 3 weekends, 12 shows total, and it's my master's thesis quarter.
Wait, so is that a total then of 6 show times per weekend? Wait.
No, 12. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 1 show a day.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, multiple times a day.
Yeah, so that was definitely pushing my limit. I think I said yes and I did it because I've done the 1 weekend show with 5 shows, where 1 day was 2 days. And then this year I want to push my limit to see if I can continuously do shows back to back and how my body can adapt or will feel afterwards. Because sometimes I think about running away to a circus, and this is a little test to see how my body. It's hard.
Yeah. So how did you adapt?
I don't. I foam roll every time I have a chance now. Before I don't really do that. I brought myself resistance bands, the peanut ball. I start really taking care of my body now because I noticed that if you really don't stretch and foam roll after these intense rehearsals, your body will feel really bad the next day. So now I really, really encourage my students and myself and all my friends, please stretch and please roll and take care of your body, right? And sometimes I also go get massages, a sports massage once a month to really stretch out my muscles. Even my masseuse was like, dang, a lot of knots.
Finally, somebody I can relate to.
I get insulted a lot by my masseuse about my shoulders.
Me too. I literally told mine, what's today? On Thursday, I saw him and he was like, oh, we're going to do this since this is your good side. And I was like, oh, I feel so attacked. He implied that this is your good side and it's still really shitty. And I've been in competition mode for 6 months straight now. So, which is.
Bless your body.
Yeah.
Your body.
Oh gosh. So I've been trying to see my massage therapist like twice a month, and same thing, like foam rolling. I just live and die by that. I have a foam roller at work. I have one in the office. I have like my home office. I have one that travels with me. Like
That's smart. And you get a travel size one.
Yeah, I get some travel size ones. They have the ones that like collapse too, but they're kind of expensive. They're like $60 for like a foam roller that size that flattens out.
Is it sturdy though if it collapses?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, how is it?
Like I throw my body on it.
Yeah. So what, after going through all of that, feeling how your body adapted to that much physical demand, what about mentally?
Like juggling everything in general. So,
Did you freak out?
not really. I didn't really freak out this year because again, it's very similar to last year. We did make some adjustment. So I kind of went in there knowing what to expect. And it was the beginning of my school quarter. So my school work is slightly less than like right now. And also during that time, I believe my work was also kind of slowish. I was able to plan my projects around it. So mentally, I was doing fine, actually. Yeah, I was not. Last year was another story. I was like overwhelmed, overstimulated. But this year was actually pretty good. Yeah.
What do you think changed then, other than knowing what to expect? What other changes that happened in your life that made you feel prepared year over year to like take this on?
Oh, yeah. So for sure, I started learning about like meditation. Whenever I'm really stressed, I'll start meditating, stretching, for example, and then also learning boundaries, right? Because a lot of times, I'm pretty sure everyone's guilty, because I'm guilty, right? We try to please people and become a people pleaser, and in the end, you have so much things on your plate, especially when you're doing for a show, right? So for this year, one thing that I did very differently is I asked my cast member and the producer to respect my boundary. So if something that's out of my comfort zone or I feel overwhelmed, I'll express it. Last year I was very hesitant because I'm very new to the performance scene, right?
Yeah.
So I just like, I'll just do it, right? But this year I specifically had them write down like what you expect me to do, and then I'll say yes or no, and then hopefully they respect my boundary. I think that's the most important part for me, to not have like a mental breakdown, is like just not being a people pleaser. Yeah.
I want to reiterate like the key point in there that everybody needs to hear, that I have a therapist that I see on a monthly, like a very regular basis, and it's having somebody write down exactly what they expect from you, so that you know what your expectations are, and that way you know if that's something that you should commit to or not. Because it, like you said, it's easy to be a people pleaser. I think most people are guilty of that. I don't even want to say guilty. Most people just do that because, like, especially in the pole world, right? Like, we're all friends and we all love each other and we don't want to let anybody down, knowing what is fully expected of you is a hot ticket right there.
Yes.
So then, aside from people being curious and wanting to learn more about your style of pole, what else motivated you to turn pole into a bit of a career?
Yeah, there's two answers. There's one short one and a very emotional long one. So the first short one is it helps me de-stress. It actually makes me happy. Whenever I dance, I kind of forget all my problems and issues, right? Again, I was a dancer before, so I think for me, how I express my feeling or what's going through my mind right now is do movement art. So that's the short answer. The more emotional answer is that actually when I started pole during the height of pandemic, my mom was, she's been diagnosed with cancer, and then it came back, and she was put in hospice. And I remember her like last word to me was that I just started pole dancing, and I was thinking if I should buy a stage pole. But then there's like stigmatism, right, about just pole dancing in general, especially I'm a guy, right? So I asked her opinion, and she told me, listen, like, who cares what other people think of you? If your friends, your coworker, or your family members, whoever, doesn't support you in this decision, then I don't think they deserve you in their, you don't deserve them in your life, and they also don't deserve you, because it's something that you really enjoy doing and it makes you happy. And because of those words, I bought a stage pole, and I would like set it up in my backyard in Oakland, and I was train. So those are more or less the last words my mom said to me. And so to me, whenever I pole dance, it kind of like reminds me of my mom in some way. Yeah, and that's why like I keep doing it because it just makes me happy, and she told me she just wants to see me happy. So like
it makes you feel connected.
Yeah. So that's why if you guys had a chance, when I did my first 3 PSO, my first PSO, there's a message where I think the song was, was that Pink? But I started off in bandages, right? Because I went through depression, I went through a lot of things, right? And pole kind of like helped me find the community and get out of that. So my first pole performance competition, I was in bandages, and I slowly take off the bandages. And the song, I think it's Courage. So it's about me finding the courage to kind of pick myself back up and keep doing what I'm doing. And then the second PSO routine that I did, I think it was All You Need to Know. So that was another kind of like me telling my friends and my family, saying like, hey, I'm doing a lot better. I smiled a lot more in that routine. And the song basically just keeps saying like, that's all you need to know. That it's like, I'm getting better. And then I think the last one is where like, I'm all better, and I'm very energetic and high energy in that routine. So like, if you watch those 3 put together, it kind of tells my recovery story. Yeah.
How special. That's so cool. That also makes a lot of sense why you're motivated the way you are with your job, just wanting to help people because it hits home for you.
Yeah. And again, I know many like friends, students and whatnot, they tell me, everyone has their own story. And so I would like to help them either tell their story through pole dancing or help them recover from, whatever they're going through. Yeah.
That's so, I wish that that's something that a lot of people that are outside of the community could hear, and something that they need to hear, that pole dancing is so broad and everybody has their own motivation, and it's just so different, right? Like from the sexy strip club all the way outside to your home studios, just that's really cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned stigmatism and especially being a dude on the pole. Is that, have you faced any of that do your coworkers know that you pole dance?
Yes. We're good, close coworkers.
Oh, okay.
But apparently, word's been spreading because there's a new hire. It was like, I heard you do acrobatics in pole, and I was like, yes. Who told you this? But yes, some my coworkers do know.
And yes. How did they take that?
So I'm really fortunate. I feel really fortunate that I'm in the Bay Area, because I feel like in Bay people are less like judgmental.
Yeah.
And then my company also hire really good people that has like good diversity and etc. So most people that work in my company, they're very open-minded, right? They're not like judging or like stereotyping. So most of them are very supportive, right? They actually want to come take my classes, and a few of them actually went to go see the Vertical show.
Nice.
And that changed their mind, because when they thought about pole dancing, they try not to stigmatize, but they do think of like, body rolls, heels,
yes.
or like certain kind of style or movement, right? But for the Vertical, we had some, but mostly it's like flips and tricks and doing things like that.
Yeah.
So they were like, they didn't even know you can do that with pole, right?
Yeah.
So then most of them are very supportive. Even my executive director came to see my show with his family.
That's so cool.
Yes, so I feel very supported by my coworker. And regarding my family, at first my dad's side of the family, they're more traditional. They're here in California. They're definitely questioning about my choice in pole dancing. And then they saw, my PSO routines, right? And then they started being more supportive, right? And then I started doing other styles in pole art. Like, it's like gymnastics. So like, yeah, the style I do, it's like flips and again, pole. Yes, it originated from like stripping culture, so we have to be very grateful because that's the origin of it. But in modern day, I feel like there's so much different styles of pole dancing.
Yeah.
You can't really like stigmatize anything.
Right. There's so many ways to express yourself.
And people are still creating new forms of art, pole art.
Yeah.
But now they're a lot better at understanding it, and they support what I do-ish. They just says don't get hurt, and I was like, yeah, don't get hurt. And I was like,
You know, actively trying not to.
They're like, that's dangerous. I was like, yeah.
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 Sometimes injuries happen.
And don't tell them that, but
Yeah.
yes.
Have you had like some pretty crappy injuries before?
Surprisingly, knock on wood, I've only had one injury. I think it was last May. So you mentioned that you saw my flying pole piece that's recorded. My actual first time performing flying pole in person was at Circus Center. It was like a side cabaret. So it's for like new upcoming artists to kind of experiment and like perform on their small little stage. So I signed up and I did flying pole live. And that was my first time doing back-to-back shows. So it was 3 shows, I believe, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I guess it was during May. And I guess I didn't warm up my shoulder enough. So I tried doing like a shoulder mount or something. And I felt something like snapped here, like, you know, some kind of like that. But my PT, my friends all examined it. It wasn't any like permanent damage, but I wasn't able to raise my arm higher than this without being discomfort. And then, so like any higher, it'll feel like hurt for some reason. But it did take a while to get better, and now I'm all better. So far, no other like injury, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
Yes.
So part of, I think, being able to remain mostly injury-free, though, like, yeah, it's good that you're grateful for it, but you're also trying to like actively make sure that that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah,
like you do cross training. There's a lot of other things that you do just to prevent injuries.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So I do tell all my friends that you do need to cross-train, right? Active flexibility. And at some point, I do recommend starting to like work on strength training. As of right now, my coach told me that I need to start working on like lifting and like lifting weights in the gym. I haven't been to the gym in years. Like I go once or twice a month just for leg days. But my coach is like, I should do more like strength training because I'm hitting a point where I need to build more strength. So a lot of times I tell my students, like, listen to your body. If your body feels like tired or it feels wonky, then I don't recommend doing that and taking a rest. And if you're really concerned, go seek like a medical specialist or like a PT. And again, just listen to your body and don't attempt something that you feel like you're not ready for. I feel like sometimes myself included, sometimes we're just so in the moment. We have the adrenaline, we have the students, people cheering you on, right? And you attempt it, right? But again, listen to your body, right? Maybe in that moment, if you attempted it and you weren't ready, it could really cause some like long-term injury. Yeah.
So then how do you prioritize your schedule to incorporate cross-training and then literally like every single thing else?
That's a very great question. So how do I do it? I really don't know. So I like to wake up early and I'll finish my job around like 2 or 3 p.m. I'll eat lunch and do work. My lunch is doing homework because it's my time. And then I'll go do a little bit of training from like 3 to 5, 6-ish. And then I'll go home, cook dinner. And then I'll eat dinner and work on schoolwork, right? And then I'll space out my days. So I'll maybe do like pole Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'll do like a flex class Tuesday and like Saturday. And then I'll do like lifting 1 day of a week on a good week. I don't really go to the gym as much anymore. But I really think the best way is having a calendar and making like a regimen. Right? Because I feel like when you know what's gonna happen this week and next week, if something happens, like maybe like, oh no, something happens, so you have to skip a day.
When life happens.
Yeah, when life happens, right? You wouldn't like panic, right? Because I noticed before I start doing like my planning a week or 2 ahead, if something just happens and all my agenda is in my brain, right? Oh no, my plan's messed up. What do I do? And I just start thinking to myself, and then I end up sitting here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't want to do anything anymore, right? But whereas if you have like a written down a calendar of your routine, your regimen, if something happens, you're like, okay, out. How can I fit this in anywhere else? Can this move around?
Right.
Or I can skip it because I'm doing this 2 days later anyway.
Right.
So I feel like that's how I manage, but I also multitask a lot.
Do you think that you're good at multitasking?
Yes, because when I was a child, my mom would be like, So I learned to cook and clean at a very young age and do a lot of household chores, right? And my mom would, I can say this, my mom would be like, get to work. I said, you need to make 3 dishes in like 45 minutes for dinner, right? Go. And I'm like, okay. And if I don't, I get yelled at. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so I talked to a few other friends. They also had that experience. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's normal.
Yeah.
But it's not normal. But yeah, so I think as a young age, because my parents are first immigrant here, so I'm the first generation born here, they have really high expectations of me. So they'll always ask me to do like multiple things at once to like conserve time. Because I'm a Hong Konger, and Hong Kong people have a saying that like time is money.
Yeah.
So like do as much as you can, like multitask.
Yeah. So has pole and this kind of goes both ways. Has pole enriched your work life in any way, and has your work life like made a play into your pole world ever?
Oh yes. So how my work play a role in my pole world, it lets me take classes.
Yeah. They're like flexible.
Yeah. Like, my work pays for my hobby.
And that too. Financially,
like,
yes.
Financially, I'm very grateful. And how pole plays a role in my professional work setting is that since I've been teaching for about a year, I think one thing I learned is that people communicate in different ways, or they perceive things in different ways, right? So I think from teaching, I was able to learn different kind of communication style, right? So when I go into work and I work with different people from different departments, I can kind of like read, they are more visual learners. So I'll have a visual presentation or like an agenda. Like this person's an introvert. They prefer to read things and just do it themselves. If they have questions, they'll come to me. So then I'll just write it down and give it to them. So it gave me like, insight on different kind of communication styles, which plays a role heavily in science because we communicate a lot with other people, especially data and things like that.
Yeah, gotcha. I think that you touched on like a hot point on the big motivation for this entire podcast is like finances. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people might not understand, especially if you live outside of California, like how are you performing multiple weekends? Like how are you teaching? Like why do you still work? Like because it's the Bay Area. Like it's so expensive. You literally have to do all the things, and like our healthcare system kind of sort of sucks here. So
very true. I remember when I first started pole dancing, funny side story, like I met all these amazing like friends, right? And they're all like computer software engineers, doctors, veterinarians, and all all these people, right? And I just had this association. I was like, wow, you guys all must be really stressed. So you're doing this to de-stress. But then someone told me like, no, pole is like an expensive hobby in the Bay Area. If you really think about it, right? So I'm very grateful that I can do this, right? So yes, in the Bay Area with rent and like not the best insurance, like a lot of times, a lot of students or the instructors have to juggle between like their daytime job and then their teaching or their performance, the artist life. Yeah.
Yes. What other like challenges do you face trying to do it all?
Sorry, what other challenges?
Yeah.
I think one of the main challenge is I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I forget to eat. Oh yeah, I don't do that.
That's important.
That's very. But I take like protein shakes and but they're not the same, right? You want to have a meal, but I think sometimes I'm so like into training or teaching, going from like point A, point B to point C. I sometimes forget to eat.
Yeah.
Or also sometimes I forget to slow down and enjoy the moment because I live at such a fast pace, right? Like I finished training here, I go there to teach, right? So I go, and it's bad when sometimes your students are like, did you eat? I know you're a very, very busy person. Like, did you eat? And I was like, yes. Did you sleep? I was like, yes.
What time do you normally go to sleep?
10:30, 11. 10:30, I'll start getting ready for bed. And at 11, I'll be in bed and I'll scroll my phone. And 11:30, I'll go to bed. And I'll wake up at 6:30.
Wow.
Yeah, so I still get enough sleep as of now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, and you feel like rested.
So far, yes. But I just turned 30 2 weeks ago, so like we'll see how my body.
Honey is about to hate you.
My body's been feeling weird. Like I was like, my lower back's been hurting.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely not a morning person at all. I like to wake up at like 7:30, 8.
That's a morning
I
person.
like
7:30 is a morning person. Yes.
Oh, but I like to lay in bed for like an hour.
Okay, fair.
Like I will lay in bed and play on my phone. My dog is like the worst influence because she just wants to cuddle and stay in bed. And I'm like, yep, let's just cuddle more. And then I'm generally in bed by like midnight. That's because I like force myself to go to bed. So I really like staying up late. But
I feel like that's not really late. I've never
okay,
stay
that's
up
good.
Late. Yeah, past midnight is when I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, watching TV.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the older that I get, I realize the more sleep I need. And if it's like even 30 minutes off of the amount that I think I need, it is not a good day.
You know what? You make a point. Usually I don't take naps. I've been having more urges to just take a little naps. Is this also the changing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of getting older, I think.
No.
It's like the one thing I wish that we could continue appreciating as a child is like everybody, if it could just be a regular thing in everybody's life to just take more naps. I think we, like, as a society as a whole, would be so much more productive and happier if we all got some good sleep. Even if you like just lay there and you don't even have to sleep. If you just were able to rest.
But I feel like that's really hard in a city though. Like the city life.
Yeah.
No, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then can you give other aspiring pole dancers some tips on how to manage their training schedule with their job schedule?
Yeah, I kind of touched upon this earlier. It's really having like a regimen and like a routine. Like my routine is so set in stone that my friends more or less know where I am.
Your friends? You have friends?
Yeah, my pole friends. My social life only consists of like pole friends, coworkers, because I gotta see them.
Yeah.
And then like if my friends, my muggle friends wants to see me, you gotta have lunch or dinner with me or something, right? Because I still gotta eat.
The
right?
people that get paid to hang out with you, basically.
Yeah. So then like you know, because you know I'm teaching. They pay.
Yeah.
They hire me, and I'm here. But yeah, so friends, they know where I am. So mainly just, again, having a regimen really does help you because it keeps you kind of knowing what to expect within this week or two. Because again, when life happens, right? Like people tend to be flustered and they just don't know and they just end up sitting there and like, what do you know? And then hours will go by, right? I think that's the main thing that definitely changed. How I train, how I teach. Like right now I operate on like a calendar. If it's not on this calendar, I'm gonna forget. I'm like a goldfish. My brain will forget in 2 seconds. So I think that
this is who's making our medicine.
My 2 brain cells. You know, I'm off right now, right? So I only have 2 brain cells.
That's awesome.
One to eat and one to like talk.
Yes.
Yes.
That's cool. So then, did you do anything different with the way that you schedule things during Vertical Show?
Oh yes, I made it very clear I'm not teaching.
Yeah.
Like I would not teach because even though the shows was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll rehearse during the daytime of those, and especially opening week, we have rehearsal every day. Wow. So like I think Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So then again, we're performing so often. I told Crystal I can't teach. That's the main schedule. I completely just like disappeared from teaching, and then I came back afterwards. And then work-wise, no, work still stayed the same because I made it very clear I can't attend rehearsal until after like 3 p.m. Sleep. I mean, I slept late because we finished rehearsal at like 10 p.m., maybe 11 on a lucky day, and it'll take me like 12 a.m. to get home at 12 a.m. and I gotta shower, wind down, and it'll be 1 a.m. and I'll wake up at 6 a.m. for work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes that's that's okay, right? Like we just have to make it not a habit of doing those things. But occasionally, like if you get a really cool opportunity and it's something that you're really passionate about, like like you're losing sleep for a couple of weekends in the grand scheme of your entire life.
Like I definitely feel like it was worth it because I was just telling myself, okay, it's only 3 weeks, right? It's a really good like opportunity, right, to perform at a stage with production, lighting, video, photo, etc. Right? Yeah.
So then after tomorrow, well, this podcast will already be, this will be posted later, but as of the day that we're recording it, tomorrow your master's is due, your thesis is due.
Yeah.
We're done with Vertical Show. So like, what's next?
What's next? That's a good question. Pole-wise, I definitely want to get back more into flexibility training. I'm known for power moves, so you guys don't know. I love to do the flips. I'm like a monkey. But I want to be able to hold a jade split, and someone appreciate it. And I'd be like, that's a right angle. Sorry, obtuse. I better not. Obtuse angle. Yes. I was going to be like, nice. And I'd be like, that's not a split. That's like obtuse angle. So I'm going to work on flexibility. I want to get back into like other disciplines, like handstand. So I also train at Circus Center. That's where I do Chinese pole. I want to get working on like handstand, tumbling, other types of like movement that I can incorporate into pole, right? Flips, hand balance, etc. And then maybe teach more, and then definitely maybe do more performance around the Bay Area, maybe even outside the Bay Area. But we'll see.
What's like your dream performance?
My dream performance? So my dream performance, so Cirque du Soleil is off the table. I'm too old for that.
Wait, are you?
Yeah. Okay. You know, a girl from Vertical Show. She's 19. She's amazing. Paige. She's amazing, and she auditioned for Cirque School and she got in. And they only take a very limited amount, right? And her dream is like Cirque du Soleil. Yeah. I was like, you do that. You're young. I'm like, no. I feel like no. I'm gonna break something. But I think my dream performance is, so I love flying pole. And if anyone has seen like a full flying pole setup, it comes with a base and you tilt the pole at a 45 angle and you can kind of rotate it, right? So we call that carousel, right? And I want to be able to perform a routine where a venue will allow me to have the space to carousel and then eventually lift it up into the air. I have performed in the air before, but more like not super high because most of the time the ceilings are limited to 12 feet or so. I do want to get lifted like 20 feet into the air and doing a full flying pole routine with the carousel and then being lifted into the air. I think that would be like my goal for my next performance, which is very ambitious.
Yes, but you could do it though.
It's just finding the space to really do that.
Do you have any goals for work?
No. Transition maybe. Oh well, I want to get into that rotational program, so I can get more exposure into like regulatory affairs. Not much. Not much work. Is that a bad thing?
No, it's not. I think that it's sort of what you're touching on is that there's seasons involved here.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot in the pole and aerial space of training in seasons.
Yeah.
And I think
I like how you're stressing seasons.
Oh yeah.
Seasons.
We're in basil season.
Basil season. I love basil. You don't know? Come DM me.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
So my first ever like podcast review, I went to Asia for some training, and I'm jet lagged. And my friend sent me questions in advance, and one of them was like, "What is your favorite season?" Right? And I later had a booklet, and I wrote down my answers because it's virtual webcamming interview. So he was like, "Okay, what is icebreaker question? What is your favorite color? What is your favorite season?" And I was like, basil. I love basil. Like very confident. 110% confident that basil is my season of choice. And then he just literally looked at me, was like, yes, basil, that's the best season. And then later on, he paused and was like, no, Sherman, like season, not seasoning, season. And I was like, oh, autumn. But basil is year around, so like, and so since then, like and that came out, right? Of course it came out and I had to post it. So now all my friends would make fun of me and buy me basils. Like they'll literally make edits of that video and tag me.
That's amazing.
And,
that's so good.
Yeah.
So seasons, training in seasons.
Yes.
And so right now, I mean, like this is like the tail end of a lot of academic stress and growth for you. And so it makes sense that like your next big thing is maybe more aerial and pole related.
Yeah.
And those things just kind of alternate. So
yeah.
I'm in the same exact boat right now. Like once I'm done with my comp training, I'm gonna take a break. Literally doing.
That's what they all say.
I know.
Because I say that too.
Yes. So, but a break in like the amount and the way that I am training. I'm going to continue training. It's just going to look different and demand different things of my body. So I'm literally same track as you. I've been handstand training a lot, and I really need to get out of that 90-degree right angle split. So as
hard.
of like June 9th will be my off season.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, from there on out, flexibility training, work on like some handstand stuff, like really want to like have a
I think
stronger.
one thing we forget as like once we get more into performing and like teaching and competing, right? We forget how fun it is to train.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're so busy that we've got what's my next project? And we don't slow down to think about, I also need to cater to my like needs to learn, right? Because we all like to learn things, right? So I think that's like a good thing to like take a step back.
And in a way, that's literally the point of competing, is to show off what you're learning. So you literally need to take a break to learn new things to take to the stage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But because of all of this, work has been literally just staying at work, and that's it. And I haven't been putting extra eggs into that basket. So, but it'll change, right? Like at some point, like I am gonna put more effort into work and less into pole. Just those things happen. And I've been at my job for 10 years, so I kind of know when like things get really busy, when specific events are happening, like when the business like needs more attention and more of me and my brain, so I can tie in my pole schedule with that one too.
Okay, well, one last thing I want to add is like, I forgot to mention, is like what's next for me. I don't think this is what's next. I'm always doing this, is I want to inspire like more guys to do pole dancing.
Yeah.
Right, because like, again, there's different types and styles of pole dancing, and I really don't like the stigmatism and the stereotyping, right? And I think ever since I started pole and I started demoing what the things I've been doing, there's been more guys willing to try pole dancing.
Yeah.
Because again, it's however you want to make it, right? It doesn't have to be exactly the same of it. So I think that's always something I'm like pursuing, is people to try pole, especially male, or people who identify as male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you want to do that? You don't have to let your secrets out, but.
Oh, well, I think how I do that is definitely showcasing my style. So doing more shows and performances. And I remember, so in Sacramento, again, where I'm from, Sacramento, the pole community is very small, but it's growing, right? I think I got invited to perform in like a nightclub show, and it's like a variety of style, and it's Halloween. So you have to do 2 sets and you make, whatever you like, right? On a stage pole. And so I think one of my set, I use my PSO routine. Of course, I had to like tame it down so I don't flip the stage pole. And then I remember like people were amazed. I have a video of it, like when I did the Titanic, this is when the audience just like, right?
Yes.
And then people come, it's like, were you holding it with your ass? I was like, no, it was your thighs, but thanks.
Yeah.
And then I remember very clearly, there's one person who came up to me, was like, she was thanking me, because she's like, I want to thank you because I've been trying to get 2 of my guy friends to try pole dancing. After they see your 2 sets, like, they were asking me, we can do that? You can do a planche, you can do a human flag or an X. And I was like, yeah, you can do anything, right? But you got to start with a climb and a sit.
Yes.
So you can bail out, right? So after that, those two guys were like very excited to start taking pole classes at some of the studios I recommended for them in Sacramento. So she was like very happy that she brought them to see that show, right? So that's doing more shows and showcasing my own individuality and style, I feel like, is what I try to do.
You should host a workshop.
I think we do a workshop here once in a while, where it's like we have mainly people who identify as males. I did get some feedback because sometimes guys, when they go into, and I've experienced this, right? So for example, what I'm trying to talk about is I went into a few studios, mainly one in Hawaii, and I took a L3 class there. When I walked in, again, I was visiting on vacation. I felt very unwelcomed by the instructor, right? Like again, I understand, right? Because male, right? Especially in Hawaii, I don't know many male polars there. And again, we were very little, right? So then she started teaching a combo, and there's only 3 other people, including me. And she focused on the 2 other girls instead of me. But the combo was easy enough for me to do, and I was able to do all of what she's asking. She didn't really need to spot me compared to the other 2 people. And then she started drifting her like attention towards me. And she was like, can we do like a duo and just do the same sequence, right? I feel like there's still that. And because I've experienced that in 2 places. Some of the males that come to take a class where it's like catered to like male specifically, they appreciate it because most of them are straight, and they feel like they won't be welcomed if they come into a safe space, right? Where we're very little, right? They might feel uncomfortable. The guy might feel uncomfortable, and the girl might feel uncomfortable. So they really appreciate that. Sometimes we have like workshop where it's mainly for people who are like male, so they can ask questions and won't make anyone feel awkward. Yeah, so that does happen from time to time here.
Well, thank you so much again for
Of course.
talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All of your insight, and I'm so excited that for what's to come. Oh,
Well, I'm going to share a fun fact. I think this is a very important thing because you asked about the male thing, right? Okay, so for people who people ask, I'm not sure if you wondered this, right? People always ask me, what do I wear down there when you do pole dancing? Because I asked the same question. Do you have this question?
no,
Okay.
but tell me, is there,
Okay.
because well, now I'm
Slightly
wondering
different.
if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should know.
So when I first started pole dancing, I asked my pole instructor, like, what do you wear down there? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you wear down there? Because we have external, external. And then she's like, oh, that's a good question. And so after researching, a dance ball. So you got to find a way, I explain it to my male students or like other male polars, you got to find a way to secure your package, right?
Like shorts aren't enough?
No, because if you think about it, like how I explain it, you really want to secure your package because there is 3 lanes. There's a left lane, a middle lane, and a right lane.
And you need
right?
to stay
And
in
like
the
you
middle.
want to choose a lane, and you want to stay in that lane. So when you do like cast or anything, right? People keep thinking, does it not hurt? I was like, no, because you choose a lane and you kind of roll it down, right? So you really want your package to be secured.
Yeah.
So then when you like cast, it doesn't shift because then you think your left lane is clear, but if it's not secure enough, it might shift
might move
and
during
then,
movement.
yeah. So I tell out like male students, you have to wear like, if you're gonna go like doing these crazy like casting and things like that, you really want to secure your package. So like a dance belt, which are what male ballerina wears to give them support, and also hides the shape. So when you wear tights, you don't see the shape
The
of
outline.
it. Yes, the shadows.
The gray
imprint.
sweat
Yeah.
outline, you know?
So
You're like,
unless you
"Ooh."
want to do that, right? But I'm okay. I like to keep it a little secret.
So you just double up.
Yeah, or you can wear like a job. I remember before I bought a dance belt, I'll wear like underwear 1, underwear 2, and then the actual like external one I was gonna wear to really secure and make sure it doesn't shift.
Well, and don't like most penis owners, it like it naturally wants to go one way or the other, right?
Depends. It depends where you like, and some people can also tuck it too.
Oh, okay.
So there's many ways you can like come about it, but you want to make secure. Even when you tuck, you have to secure. Keyword: secure.
Yeah.
You got to secure your package so it doesn't Tokyo drift when you're like casting yourself.
What about the underwear that always has like its little pocket?
Like a jock
it's
strap or a
like
thong?
it's just like just boxer briefs that have like a pouch kind
Oh
of
no,
in
that's
the
not
front,
secure enough.
you know,
I feel
like
that's not secure enough.
oh,
It might work if it's like tight, stretchy one, but
Yeah.
you really want it to be like secured.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does that get uncomfortable?
Dance belt is not very comfortable. I wear one when I compete and whatnot. Dance belt is essentially like a thong, and then like like a thong. It's not comfortable.
It's probably the equivalent of wearing a push-up bra.
Yes, because TMI. But when I get home, I take that shit off, and I was like, oh god.
Like,
and I would tell her, is this what it feels like to wear like a sports bra or whatever?
Yes.
Like, yes. And I was like, yes.
Just getting home and just letting it out.
Yes, I understand.
Yes. I'm so glad that there's something that we can like relate on different body parts.
So for anyone who's watching this, the teachers or whatnot, when a male student asks you, what do you wear? You just mainly to secure your package. You can wear anything. You just gotta secure
dance
that.
belt. That's
Ideally, dance belt. If you really want to invest in something, when you perform or compete, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for adding that on.
It's very important. I get so many questions because when I was doing my teacher training, I was the only male there, and a trainee brought up that question to the instructor, right? Oh, what if they have external genitals, right?
Yeah.
And then the instructor was like, that's a great question, Sherman. Can you answer this question? And I was like, and I had a demo, right?
You over there with the balls.
Yeah, I have a demo and this pole, we're at a studio, right? Our demo. They're like, how do you sit? And I was like, you live like an inch.
Yeah.
Right? So there's just some move we can't do. And then so just information out there because I struggled when I first started pole dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, just, I had to like drop it here.
Yes, thank you. That'll be its own thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to make it its own episode. Just talking about that. A whole genitals episode.
Did you not ever wonder? Like, did you ever wonder what we were down there, or like?
No, I just figured it was literally the pole shorts, and I figured like,
you never
like
wonder like when we're
spandex.
casting ourselves and we're just like here, you're just like, doesn't hurt them, or like,
No.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it's like to have anything that flies around. It's like loose. Even my boobs don't because they're fake, so they're so like secure in one spot. They just don't like bounce or move that much.
Oh,
So,
fair.
I don't know. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I had to drop it. Like I feel like this is a good place to drop it.
Yeah, it is. It is a very good
Before
place
you
to
end
drop
anything,
it.
so wait, I gotta tell this one last fact.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's a perfect way to end.
Genitals.
Genitals.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
know.
talking about your genitals on our podcast.
Not my genitals, male genitals. Okay, we're not gonna know. Like we're not gonna talk about mine specifically.
Yes. Oh, well, again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
appreciate the time that you dedicated to talk to me today. So, and I think that people will love to hear about your story and all of this stuff because
Do not tag me in basil.
Thanks for listening till the end, you busy bitch. I'm going to drop all of Sherman's Instagram, website information in the show notes or in the description on YouTube. So if you could please give this a rating wherever you're listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, please comment and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up because I am doing this for free as much as I would rather be making money doing it, but here we are. So your love and support mean the world to me. Okay, bye.